Hello, everyone. I'm Joe the Jet G, and today we're going to be talking about the five things we need to be looking forward to when OTAs and training camp come by. And OTAs are going to be starting on May 27th, so it's getting closer. The day of us watching for updates for our is getting closer. So, what should we be looking forward to? What battles should we be watching? What players should we be intrigued by? And what players I think might shine when OTAs and training camp comes along, and we're seeing these reports about, oh, this guy looks good in training camp, that guy looks good in training camp. Um, yeah, so here I go. So number five, I believe the guy to watch is D'Angelo Pons. I'm very intrigued to see what they're gonna do with him, specifically specifically where they're gonna line him up. Are they gonna line him up at the nickel? Are they gonna line him up in the slot? And are they gonna line up against number ones outside? Or are they gonna line them up specifically wherever they want to? I'm gonna predict that they're gonna line him up more as a slot corner. But I do see that, him sort of promoting himself if he plays well in that corner position in the future. So I think they're going to start him off with sort of an easy spot first and sort of let him work up um, to possibly being the cornerback one if he plays well in training camp and most of the preseason. But I do think right now that number one cornerback spot belongs to AZ Thomas as of right now. Um, Not too sure if that's going to change. It's probably going to change. But as of right now, a lot of people are going to be up on AZ Thomas. A lot of Jet coaches are going to be up on AZ Thomas. But I do think D'Angelo Pons is going to definitely climb up that ladder. But I do think they're going to start him off a little bit little here with certain aspects. But I do think this guy is going to be a phenomenal corner in the NFL. I really do. I think this guy has the it factor, the big playability, and he knows how to turn over the football, especially. Number four, it's mostly a matchup here. It's how David Bailey is going to match up against the two cornerstones of this offensive line for the foreseeable future, Olufashanu and Armamembu. I'm curious to see where they're going to line up David Bailey. They're probably going to line him up at the left um, against the left tackle. So most likely it'll be David Bailey versus Olufashanu. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how that matchup goes. Um, you know, there's a lot of good stuff when it comes to David Bailey's game. And look, we all know, we all are very high on Olufashanu. We're all very high on Armand Membu, but I'm curious to see how this guy, Olufashanu, plays against pretty good, two pretty good offensive tackles so far in their very young careers. I want to see how David Bailey goes up against those tackles, and it's going to be very intriguing to see how that matchup sort of meshes. Um, I think David Bailey is a phenomenal pass rusher, and I can't wait to see him personally be out there and trying to shed some blocks and go one-on-one with Membu or Olufashanu wherever he's lined up. Now, the number three sort of thing I'm looking forward to when it comes to OTAs, it's how this offense looks as a whole. The whole starting offense, Gino, Garrett, Brees, Omar Cooper, um, Tim Patrick, uh, you know, Sadiq, Mason Taylor. I just want to see what this offense can do. Are there are they a better passing offense than last year? Which I'm probably going to predict yes, they are a better passing offense than last year. But I got to see it. We all got to see it. We all got to at least you know take a peek on what we're going to be looking at in the fall. So that's going to be something that's intriguing. How are they going to give these guys the football? I mean, the Jets, I think for the first time in a while, they have an embarrassment of riches at offense when it comes to wide receiver and pass catchers. Um, they have an embarrassment of riches for weapons. It just all depends on Gino and the play calling itself. I think that's all it depends on, whether this offense is set to be a good offense or set to be the same type of Jets offense that we're used to seeing, which is a bunch of um, 4 and outs, or a bunch of, you know, interceptions or fumbles. We need to see it, to believe it. So, but right now on paper, this offense looks way better than it did a year ago. But I hope that Gino plays um, to how I expect him to play, and I hope Frank Reich calls plays to the best of his abilities, so this Jets offense can get moving and actually start scoring points for once, instead of doing the typical things that Jets offenses usually do. Um, my number two guy, my number two player to watch. I know I kind of referenced this as an offense as a whole in my number three spot, but my number two spot is Omar Cooper himself. I really want to see how he's progressing as a pass catcher, and how he fits and where they're going to put him. They're probably going to put him at slot, most likely. They're probably going to put him, you know, where he's used to. The Be on the lookout on them throwing him a lot of screens. I think he's a guy that definitely, when you give him the ball, he's definitely one of the underrated sort of speedsters that if he gets the ball, he could definitely, maneuver and, find ways to get first downs and gain extra yards. So be on the lookout on, possibly having a screen game with him a little bit. And yeah. So I'm very interested to see what they do with Omar Cooper. And my number one um OTA watch player, or player to watch for OTAs, is kind of a curious one, and kind of one that's just, I know a lot of Jet fans are very iffy on him, and very, like, I'm not very sold on this guy. Um, that is Cade Klubnik. Now, the reason why I am so intrigued with Cade Klubnik now is, now you're hearing all these things, especially when it came from rookie minicamp. He's, you know, galvanizing the players. He's telling the players, to work out with him, to go over the playbooks and everything like that. He, you obviously see a leader when it comes to the quarterback position. The only question is, can he play? Um, or is the Cade Klubnik we're getting, is it the 2025 version, which is underwhelming, or we're getting the 2024 version, who was supposed to be a top overall pick, who was projected to be a top overall pick um, by this time last year. But there are some intriguing things with Cade Klubnik that have been shown in minicamp. I'm curious to see if that gets extended at OTAs, at camp. I just want to see how he looks against, you know, the backups, the backup defensive players, the defensive backs, the backup defensive line. I'm just curious to see how he looks. And look, if he is killing it out there, then we might actually have something here. I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say, like, this guy is going to be our Dak Prescott or Brock Purdy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if he is improving every single day, and he's proving to you that he can play at this level, that is intriguing, especially when it comes to a quarterback that you drafted in the fourth round. He's showing you ability that he could start games, whether it's him being a backup, him having spot starts, or him, you know, by some miracle, be a starter. Anyway, him being a backup is a win for the Jets. But it's intriguing to see how these beat reporters, they're talking about Kate Klubnik, and they're talking about him in such a positive light so early, and especially in minicamp, the way Zach Rosenblatt tweeted, he said, "Oh, Jet fans should definitely overreact to this." He hit Kenyon Sadiq over the middle. Like something like that intrigues me a little bit, and it should intrigue the entire fan base. I'm like, wow, like this guy has the beat reporters impressed. Like there's something there might be something here. Let's see what he can do with against the backups. Let's see what he can do against some players that are on this team, whether that be backups or third stringers. But let's see what this guy can do. And again, if he impresses, that is something I think every Jet fan should be encouraged by, especially when we're all in the thought process of, oh, they're going to take a quarterback next year. The best thing for Jet fans to look at is how they develop Cade Klubnik, because you want to trust this coaching staff. You want to trust Frank Reich. You want to trust Aaron Glenn on how they develop the quarterbacks or how they develop the quarterback position, especially when you're projected to be taking a first round swing next year. So seeing Cade Klubnik and seeing him improve should be a good thing for Jet fans, whether if he turns to a backup or a starter. For me, it's not about Cade Klubnik himself. It's about how this coaching staff can develop Cade Klubnik and how he can get better by the coaching staff helping him along the way. That is the most important thing. So that's my top five uh, my OTA watch list on what we should need to look at and watch and sort of, take notes about when training camp and OTA start. So honestly, I can't wait. Um, it's indicating that the football season is starting. We're trending towards preseason, and yeah, so we're getting close. And yeah, I cannot wait. Um, there's been a lot of things that have been going along in the sports world, like my Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're up 2-0 as we speak in those finals. So just two more games there in the NBA final. And yeah, other than that, I've been looking forward to this entire Jets season. So we'll see how that goes. Again, like I said in my last video, 7 wins is the prediction. I stick to that. I do think that this is a 7-win football team. At the end of the day, I think um, I do like that some people are more optimistic than me, uh, such as Green Bean and, such as Green Bean and all, or Paul Boy Green. I respect the optimism, and I'm really happy there are some people that still have some hope and still have hope for this team making the playoffs and ending the playoff drought. Me, I'm a little bit in the middle when it comes to expectations. Am I saying the team should tank? No. Am I saying the team? Am I expecting them to make the playoffs? No, again, I don't see that. I see 7-10, which is good. It's an improvement. It's something that I think Jet fans, I shouldn't say should be excited about, but at least we should point to the future if they do go 7-10. Say, hey, they had 3 wins last year. They jumped it up to 7. There's an improvement there, and we should at least see where this goes before we make a move. That's all. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. So that's what I think. But you think I'm crazy? Be sure to leave a comment down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, uh, hit the bell if you want some notifications. And thank you all for listening and watching and giving me your insight on what you think the Jets OTAs and what you should watch the Jets OTAs or how you think the Jets are going to be this year. So yes, I'll see you later and go Jets.